Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this InSites Consulting Smartees Webinar on consumer understanding through research communities. Let's take a look at today's agenda. First of all, I will talk a little bit about what is a market research online community. Later on, Anouk will share a couple of cases and insights on engaging both consumers, so research participants in market research online communities, and also engaging the people within your organization with the results from the community. And we will end, of course, with a couple of challenges and how to overcome them, and what the results are of having a community and being connected with your consumers, what it brings, in other words, to your company. But let's start with a quick word on what is a market research online community. Well, we at InSites believe that your customers are probably the most effective consultants you can hire, and that working together with them, collaborating with them in a structural way, will make that you produce better products or better services, that you as an organization also can make better decisions in a faster way, that your brand becomes a more human brand, and that your company becomes a more agile one. And we do that, of course, by connecting you with a group of customers over a longer period of time on a closed online platform. And that's a market research online community. Let's take a look at first the definition and then a couple of characteristics of how to define and what defines a market research online community. First of all, if you compare a market research online community, which is a form of qualitative research, with more traditional ways of doing research like focus groups, there are a couple of things that are the same and there are a couple of things that are different. What's the same? It's, like I said, a closed platform. Closed in the sense that your secrets are still safe, just like they are in the physical room when you do a focus group. Here you have a virtual online room with a lot of people, with more people, but still your secrets are kept safe because it's an invitation-only platform. What are the things that are different? Of course, it's online and not offline, but all the advantages of that, in the sense that you can invite more people into the same room over a longer period of time. More people means more opinions from people, means more clashes of ideas over a longer period of time, means that you can work together with them over time, that you can really follow them over time, and that you can really co-create, collaborate, and connect with them in the true sense of the word. So that's what a community is and how you can compare it with, let's say, the traditional way of listening and working together with consumers. Let's take a look at a couple of characteristics then that define the way we run market research online communities. Let's say what the four main ingredients are. First of all, the number of people. Secondly, the profile of the people. And last but not least, the objectives and the duration. We work together most of the time with between 50 and 150 people over a couple of weeks, months, of years long. Why between 50 and 150 people? Well, we believe that we only need 50 people to find all the answers, to have enough answers to find all the opinions that are out there. We see that if we have 50 people, we generate enough conversations to reach the saturation effect, to see that we really have found all the things people think about a certain subject. And we never work with more than 150 people because we know out of the research we have done on this topic and out of experience that if you work with more than 150 people, it becomes very difficult both for the moderator and for the people in the community to really connect with one another. And especially for the moderator, this is important because if you can really connect with people, you can ask probing questions, you can go in depth, you can really get to know them. So in order to get the most out of your community, don't make it too small, but also don't make it too big. We work together over periods of 3 weeks, 3 months, or a year. 3 weeks is a typical duration for very, let's say, straightforward projects. It's very handy for a pilot to try market research online communities or to solve a very specific issue, like your next marketing campaign, your next round of ideation to come up with new product ideas. So those typical things that you otherwise also would do for focus groups with. When it's a 3-month period, it's more about strategic kind of plans, like we did a project 2 years ago for Ben & Jerry's where we defined the brand strategy for the next 2 years, and we took a period of 3 months to really reconnect with consumers, to be inspired and to co-create that strategy for the future. When we work over a couple of months, that's the case. When we work over a year long or even a couple of years, we try to bring in the voice of the customer really in everything we do within the company on a day-to-day basis. So very tactical things up to very strategic kind of things. So that's the number of people that we work with and the duration that we work together with those people. And also a couple of the objectives that we can tackle with market research online communities, depending on the duration. Finally, who are we working with in the community? Well, I like to call the profile of the people in the community, people who are interested in what we are going to do, and people who are interesting to talk to. So it means that it are always people who are a fan of a certain brand or who are very much into the category. And it makes that they want to work with us for a couple of months, for a couple of years sometimes even, and it also makes that they really have something interesting to say, that they can really inspire our thinking and push our strategies forward. So I hope that by doing this I have given you a flavor of what a community is, what the definition of a community is, and what the main ingredients are. What we are going to talk about today is mainly how to immerse in the consumer world through a market research online community. How to bring the consumer to life within your company. And we will do that, or Anouk will do that, by sharing 3 great cases with you. One from Unilever Global R&D, a global project from Heineken, and our ongoing community for Heinz. The Unilever R&D case, there the goal was to bring in the consumer world into one of the global R&D plans of Unilever. So the goal was to inspire research and development people with what the consumer does on a daily basis, what the consumer thinks. So really try to bring the consumer to life within the R&D labs. Heineken, the goal there was to develop the Club of the Future together with young clubbers from all over the world and young designers from all over the world. So here the goal really was to inspire creative people with how young clubbers today all over the world club, how a night out looks like. And finally, for Heinz, we bring the consumer to life on a day-to-day basis, year in, year out, already for more than 4 years towards the marketing team, helping them to make better decisions faster. So that means that for very tactical, but also for very strategic decisions about the future, consumer inspiration and input is used. So you now know what a community is. You now know what we are going to do. We will show you how we bring consumers to life within the company, and you know, in short, the 3 cases that we are going to use to do that. So now Anouk will tell you more about how we engage consumers in those communities and also how we engage the employees or the marketing people within companies with the consumer world. Anouk.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, well, the next question is how to make these communities a success story. And for starters, building a platform and hoping for activity from both sides, participants and the stakeholders, won't work. We need to make it an experience, like it's done in the restaurants or at festivals. We need to keep surprising our stakeholders. And because it's not only about the reports that you deliver, it's about the whole community experience before, during, and after. Okay, let's see first how we create these experiences for our consumers. And to start off, one of the most important ways to engage users is to show them that they have impact. It's the key reason to join a community. So yes, we share our feedback on a community, but we want to make this a bit more explicit. And to give an example, for the food community of Heinz, we test a lot of products and campaigns with our community. And one way we made our feedback more explicit is by setting up a wall of fame. And on this wall, all the products and campaigns that were evaluated on the community or inspired by the members are shared and that are already on the market. So by giving feedback in this way, it's a great way to make each other feel really proud of what you're doing on a community. So that's a first example. A second way to engage members is by giving them or by making them feel part of something exclusive. And we do this by posting special challenges on the community. And here I want to give an example on the Heineken case that we did. Here our moderator, moderator Thomas, he posted a new weekly challenge on the community, which was revealed in a video message. And in one challenge, he asked members to become a mystery clubber, go to a new club in town and observe the people, the atmosphere, and then report back to us also on a video. So that's just one example of all the fun challenges that you can do with the community, and especially in this video format, it makes it even more feel that you're part of something exclusive. Besides impact and making them feel that they are part of something exclusive, we mustn't forget about the fun factor. Instead of focusing on the monetary rewards that members get from the community, we really want to play for their attention. And one way how we do this is by giving them topic-related incentives. For example, we send them goodie bags on a regular basis instead of just vouchers. And next to this, we make use of a lot of gamification techniques as well. We use levels where they can unlock new information about the brand. We use badges if they have achieved something on the community or a special challenge. And we organize mini competitions between groups in the communities. These are just a few examples of the gamification techniques that we use for our members. And the fourth example, we think it's very important to connect members with the people from the brands. It definitely boosts their engagement. Now, we always ask our clients to introduce themselves on the community and post feedback on the blog. And this way, the members can really meet the people, understand their choices that they have to make every day, and learn how they have helped them in their new marketing actions. And this makes the brands also become a bit more human and accessible to them. Like you see here, an example from the Unilever community where Gita posted some feedback about the discussions we've been having the past week. So for the members, it's key to give them impacts, make them part of something exclusive, the fun factor, and connect them with the people behind the brand. Now, for our internal stakeholders at the client side, we use different techniques to keep them engaged and create consumer understanding. And I want to show you those techniques that we use as well. For starters, for successful consumer understanding, it's very important to first introduce your stakeholders to the participating consumers. at Unilever, we linked all participating employees, which were 600 in total, to a specific consumer of that community. We invited them to visit their consumer page and meet their consumer, where they could read about um, their stories, their routines, their preferences, and like you see here, this is the page of consumer David. You can find a lot of pictures on there, how he's living, of his living room, his kitchen. So the internal stakeholders, they really got the chance to meet David and really get to know him a bit better. Next to these profile pages, we can create offline awareness about the stories from the community as well. At Heinz, our contact person regularly hangs new stories and killer quotes in the coffee corner. And this turns out to be a great spot to start conversations between colleagues. So why not give them a hand with great consumer stories as a conversation starter? So use the offline element as well. The first two techniques are already great to capture people's attention, but it's really important to balance this with real learnings and eye-opening facts. So normally we do this with our reports, but when the goal is to create consumer understanding, for example, for a bigger target audience, we need to think of more inspirational formats. And I think that the infographic of the Heineken community is a great example here. The users, in this case, the designers that were about to design the club of the future, they used this infographic. It was interactive. You can touch the screen and learn about the new opportunities for clubs and for going out. And you can also check this one online. It's really accessible. Just go to nightlifejourney.com and experience it for yourself. Next to sharing these eye-opening facts, it's very important to follow this step with the activation. And this is the phase where you translate the insights into actions together with the core team of the community, both for short-term and long-term. And we do this by organizing offline workshops in which we use engaging brainstorm techniques to co-create actions based on all the learnings from the community. And here you see the team of Heinz. Now, and even after that workshop, we can still activate employees with the results from the community. In the Heineken projects, the creative designers, they needed to start using the insights from the community to design the club of the future. And after following all the community conversations and immersing with the clubbers, they went to the club themselves for a night and they became a real clubber, like one of the community members. And they were paying special attention to all the pains and the gains of the community members. So this exercise enables you to relive the results, what is really crucial for successful consumer understanding. And finally, next to this workshop and reliving the results, we want to extend the life cycle of these insights to make our research really used and reused. For Heinz, we made a special news website where we blog about all the learnings and we upload our reports. And the advantage of such a platform is that we use it as a search engine of all the information that is related to the community research. And this way, previous discussions, maybe from last year or even the year before, are easily found. So that's a very important factor when you want research to be reused. Now, when talking about creating these engaging experiences for our internal stakeholders, I can tell you that we also learned that consumer immersion in an organization can be challenging. And we want to share one learning in particular with you. And the beauty of an MROC is, of course, that it's a great sensing experience for the people within the organization. I mean, you can observe consumer dialogue, log in whenever you want. You can read their unsolicited feedback, their bottom-up discussions from the social corner, and really see the group dynamics popping up in all the discussions. But it's also they also see that it's a lot of data. And to give you a better idea, in 3 weeks' time, we can get over 2,000 posts, comparable to more than 200 pages. So that's quite difficult for all these stakeholders that want to have this sensing experience to know where to look for their specific question and how to deal with this massive amount of data. So as a consequence, for sure, it creates an information overload. Um, so we found out that filtering is key, and to make sure that information is relevant. We make news websites like I just showed you for Heinz. We also did this for Unilever, and here we can upload specific content that is only shared with different teams to make sure that information is still relevant. So that's my key message here. Target your information. Now you must be curious. What is the result of all these efforts? Well, Tom will tell you all about this.
Indeed, we had the chance, and that's, I think, a great opportunity, or it was a great opportunity for us. We had the chance to do a piece of quantitative and qualitative research among the more than 500 people at Unilever R&D that were confronted, let's say, with the consumer by the consumer news website, but also by playing quizzes online and offline about the consumer world, by being confronted with the consumer world, also through a consumer wall within the Unilever offices, etc. So we did the whole thing that Anouk just explained, both with consumers and especially also with the R&D employees. And afterwards, through quant and qual research, we measured what the impact was. Both in the quant figures as in the qual quotes, we saw that it really did something with people, more than other pieces of research had done in the past and more than other ways of reporting research results had done in the past. We saw that it generated conversations in the coffee corner. We saw that people really spend a lot of time on the consumer news website every single morning, grabbing a coffee, go on the news website, play a small quiz, read some articles. And we also saw that it really brought people together, not only in the conversations, but also in terms of working together on issues. Sometimes people were really calling in colleagues to work on a specific issue. So both the quant and the qual figures were showing that we had more impact with this way of doing research, with this way of bringing consumers to life within the companies. And it really made them engage with the consumer world, and that really inspired their thinking. We have great examples from other community projects. We have papers about that. If you want to read more about it, feel free to drop us an email. We will definitely send you those papers. What is important, of course, is to do like they did at Unilever or like we did at Unilever. If you do such a project, if you want to bring the consumer to life within your company, if you want to inspire your marketing team or other people within other departments, confront them with the consumer to push their thinking forward, what is important that you measure the success of that project, that upfront you define a couple of KPIs you define a couple of things that you want to reach. You measure it in a qualitative and quantitative way, and afterwards, of course, you celebrate your success. Like at Unilever, we went up relatively seen with 80% on consumer-centric thinking. That's what all the employees, all of the 500 afterwards declared. So for such a project and for every community project you do, define upfront what do I want to achieve, measure it, and celebrate your success. Because most of the time, if you want to do this project, if you want to make a start with this, if you want to do a pilot project with the market research online community, you need some budget to conduct the project. And then you need most of the time C-level involvement. And if you want to keep that C-level involvement, you need to show them what the return on investment will be. That's why we at InSites Consulting pay a lot of attention not only on how to get the most out of consumers, how to get the most out of our community participants, how to get the most out of the research results and try to present them in the best and the most impactful way, but also help our clients to prove the return on investment towards their management, because that will make that you can continue your efforts in terms of bringing consumers to life within the company, but also in terms of structural collaboration with consumers through research communities. And I think after today, in short, in 30 minutes, we have shared with you what is a community, what do you use it for, what are the main ingredients. Through 3 cases, we have given you a little bit of the recipe, how to bring consumers to life within your company, how to get the most out of them, how to get the most out of the results and make sure that actually something happens afterwards within your company. And I think the key lessons are engage your internal stakeholders with the consumer world. It will really bring something to the table. We have a lot of cases about that on our website, but balance your stories and make it actionable enough. I think that's one of the lessons from the projects that we have done in the past 4 years with Heinz in our ongoing Heinz communities. Yes, bring the consumers to life, but also give the marketeers enough meat that they can work on immediately, things that budget for a next round of consumer immersion. So I hope you've all found this very interesting. If there are questions, feel free to ask them through the chat and we will answer them immediately. If not, please take a look at our website where we have a lot of case studies and a lot of let's say figures on what we do within companies, the impact we had on companies and the marketing people and R&D people within those companies. So if there are questions, we are happy to answer them. I see a first question coming in from Els. And it seems to be a rather long question. She's still typing, so we are all curious to see what it will be. If there are other people who have questions, feel free to ask them now or afterwards through email or one of our social media channels. And here's the question of Els. Do you think this can work also for companies outside of fast moving, for companies that deliver services? Yes, Els, we have a lot of experience in fast-moving consumer goods with this methodology. The 3 cases that you saw were also from 3 fast-moving consumer goods companies, but we also do work in the B2B sector. For example, one of the companies we are working for at the moment is Randstad, where it's really about a service and it's about bringing all types of professional groups to life for the people within Randstad to see what kind of services they can offer. We also recently did a case for Air France KLM. We will present that at the upcoming ASOMAR Qualitative Conference in Amsterdam, where it was about coming up with new service ideas for business travelers who are in transfer. So indeed, most of the cases you saw today were from fast-moving consumer goods companies, but we also have experience for services companies like the two I mentioned, but also for a lot of banks and insurance companies. So it's definitely possible. I hope this answers your question. Anna is also typing a question. If there are other people who have a burning question, please go ahead. Question from Anna. Why do you consider the 3 weeks as the minimum? I was thinking of having 2 weeks community 2 times a year. Do you think that will work? Well, Anna, we consider 3 weeks as an ideal starting point. Why? Because in 3 weeks' time, you can really follow people long enough, you can really connect long enough with people. They will be offered enough time to really show who they are, to show themselves. So that's the first reason. We really think that 3 weeks is like an ideal period to show all the possibilities of a market research online community. That's why we always start with 3 week projects, and that's why we never do a 2 week one, for example. Another reason is, of course, there is some kind of startup cost to build the community, to recruit the people. And also from that perspective, let's say an extra week doesn't cost that much money compared, relatively seen, compared to the 2 weeks. So that's why 3 weeks is done quite commonly to start with. That being said, you can have a 3 week community first, some kind of pilot project, and then reactivate your community. And we reactivate already communities from 1 week onwards. So the 3 weeks is like to build the engagement, to get the most out of the first kind of pilot, and afterwards you can reactivate your community just for 1 week. That's absolutely possible. So I hope that answers your question, Anna. Another question came in from Amy, and she talks about the exciting examples that we showed. And I think the question is, how can we do it for less exciting research questions and less exciting brands? I think that's the kind of question Amy asks. I hope I'm correct in that. I think if you look at what we have done in the past, of course, we have worked for a lot of, let's say, very well-known, very aspirational brands, but also for banking companies, for example, or for insurance companies with less exciting products. And then it's not, let's say, the brand we are working for or the topic that we are tackling, but the way we are tackling it that becomes very important. I spontaneously think back to a client we did a very repetitive kind of qualitative concept test for in a community. We did 10 times like we had 10 times like the same questions about different pack designs. What did we do? We gamified it. We made it fun. We asked the questions in different ways. We let people earn badges along the way and things like that. So let's say when the research topic or the brand that you're working for, or what you ask the people to do, or the questions that you ask people are a little bit more boring, let's say, well, then the way you ask them and the way you deal with it and the way you try to make it fun and entertaining, you gamify it, will make that it's still, let's say, fun for the people in the community. If I think back on how to entertain people within your company, I think even from figures, although that's not the purpose of a community, but even from figures you can make a very nice infographic. So I think from all kind of pieces of research you can make something in a format that is more impactful, that is more entertaining, that looks more exciting. Even from a UNA study, you can make a one-page infographic that will draw people's attention and that looks very nice. So in that sense, sometimes it's just about the way you pack your results and the way you connect the dots and you summarize things. Hilda has a question on how do you find the consumers for a certain community? Well, from all kind of different sources. They come from traditional access panels, but also from Facebook pages, companies, databases. Where they come from is actually not that important. It's the fact that we screen them on being interested and interesting and on certain quota and certain screeners like you would normally do. So the most important thing is screening the consumers, that we have the right people to keep them engaged over time, that they actually want to talk with us, and of course that we have the right target group in the community. So in that sense, nothing is really different from traditional qualitative research. I don't know if there is another question. If there is, feel free to ask it. Otherwise, our contact details are on the screen. We're always available for questions. If you want to request papers about one of the projects we were talking about, you can also do that, and we are very happy to send them over to you. Els is asking a last question. I will answer that one, and then we will round off. But as I said, feel free to keep in contact with us to all kinds of channels. Can you do this with existing clients? I think you mean the clients of your company. Definitely. We did that quite a lot, both looking at B2C companies and at B2B companies. That's absolutely not a problem. I think it's even more interesting because then they can talk about the current experience, they can review the current experience, and they can help you and us to together make their future experience a better one. So it's definitely a great idea. So thank you all for being part of this webinar session, and yeah, we are really looking forward to see you again at another Smartees, be it in the online or in the offline world. Thank you very much and have a nice evening. Bye bye.